Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Lana and I'm here to do a pattern review for Simplicity 10503. This is a caftan dress that I made and I really like this one. I thought it was a simple sew. A little background about me though is I've only been sewing for about two and a half years. I'm the mother of three. My two youngest are twins and they are 3 years old. And when I was preparing to have them, I needed something to do. And so I decided that I would learn to sew blankets and bags and backpacks and things like that for them so that when they arrived, I would be prepared. Little did I know that I would get into garment making and I would teach myself how to be able to sew. That didn't go as well as I wanted to because I found that the patterns were really difficult to follow. Then I found a lot of YouTube videos that were great, but I still had a lot more questions for all of the videos that I saw as far as everything, certain words, and I learned that I just had to Google so much. And so recently I decided that I'm just going to do this on my own. That I've watched everybody else's videos and I haven't made one thing without having a YouTube video as a sew along, kind of show me exactly to go from start to finish. The thing about that though was that I realized that I wasn't following the instructions and I wasn't really teaching myself anymore about the patterns, although I was going to Joann's and I was buying all the patterns that I loved, and then I was also buying all the patterns that were doing YouTube videos. But I had so many, I just never knew where to start. So this is the first pattern that I've done with no YouTube video. As far as I know, there's no YouTube video on this pattern. And so I decided to just read the instructions from start to finish. I told that to someone when I was in Joann's in line, and she said, don't read the instructions, just look at the not the directions necessarily, but the line drawings, I guess that's what it's called, and just understand what steps they want you to put it together, and then you'll just figure it out. And I thought that is a great idea because for me, I've always known how things are supposed to end up, and so it's always been interesting to figure out how to take it apart and see how it's constructed and then put it back together. So this is the first one that I did. Like I said, this is Simplicity 10503. This is one of those that is out on the top of the cabinets, and so it doesn't have a normal Simplicity number. This must be like one of their new lines for Simplicity. It's called an Easy to Sew, and as I said, it's called a caftan. I think that's the way that you pronounce it. I saw this on a lady in Joann's last summer, and she had this on in a blush, and I said, oh my gosh, I need to know where you got that from. And she said, no, I sewed it. I never wrote down the pattern number, and I always thought to myself, if I could ever learn how to read a pattern, I would do that for myself, because this is not a dress that I would normally have in my wardrobe. I wear a lot of athletic wear, and I also wear a lot of very structured garments, and so this flowy light doesn't have as much structure to it. Is not something that would normally be me, so this is really stepping out of my comfort zone. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things I did like and some of the things I didn't like about this pattern. So for me, my bust is a 38.5, and I have learned through a lot of these videos that you have to take your measurements and understand on the back of the pattern what it's going to end up as, which is called the finished garment measurement. And on this one, for me, in a size 12, it says it's a 38.5 bust. But I know by doing other patterns that a size 12 for me never works. It's always too big. And so I decided instead that I would cut a 10, which ends up being a 37. But the thing that I also wanted to do was I wanted to give it more length, because I am someone who likes wearing a little bit of a heel during the summer, and I didn't want it to be too short. And also I'm a little bit taller in the legs. I'm 5'6.5", And so there again, I didn't want it to be too short. So I did actually cut the 12 for the length on this, and then I just hemmed it up just 5/8 of an inch. So that's one of the things that I did add. What I didn't like was the way that they showed in the pattern how to do the neckline. And I did it 3 times over again. And on the 4th time, I just thought about a video that I had watched. I believe it was with Brittany J. Jones. She was doing a shirt that Mimi G had done in a previous video, or it was a remake of a high-low shirt. And all I could think of was that I had to figure out on the video, because I watched it over and over, how to be able to do the neckline. And so I just referenced my mind into that video, and I said, you know what, I can just do this on my own. So I didn't follow the pattern because it didn't seem to make any sense about how to be able to put the interfacing in and turn it over the 3/8 and then sew this all the way around. So thank you, Brittany J. Jones, for that, because I learned how to be able to remember how to do this. I don't even know what it's called, with this neckline here. I'm sure it's a certain particular word for it, but I'm not that advanced to know what it really is called. So the other thing that I did like about it is that the sleeves were long enough, although for me, it does say to take the sleeves and then roll them up another 2 inches, or I'm sorry, 1.5 inches. And I just felt like that was going to be too short. I'm teaching myself how to sew because I'm technically a petite body, which is really hard to be able to find certain clothes. I'm large breasted, I'm petite in the torso, and I have long legs. And I can wear a petite top as long as the arms aren't too short, unless I want to roll up the sleeves. So it's really hard for me because I fit into a junior, but I also fit into a petite, depending on who the maker is of the item. So for me, I just decided that I would go ahead and leave the sleeves long, and this worked out perfect for me, as you'll be able to see in the videos that I will post at the end of this pattern review, and you can see where it lands on my arm. The other thing I liked about this was super easy to be able to do this little area right here underneath the bodice. What I was happy about, which I couldn't tell when I purchased it, I assumed that it was going to have elastic. And it seems like a lot of the other garments that I've been making have a lot of the elastic in that area. And I just honestly felt like I'm kind of just getting tired of the elastic, and I wanted to do something different. I didn't always feel like if I was getting warm in the summertime that elastic was sitting right next to my body. I wanted something that still brought my waistline in, but didn't have the bulk of the elastic, even if I used a very thin, small elastic. So I like this because all I had to do was gather it. I didn't have to worry about putting the elastic in. And at this time, as we all know, it's so hard to get elastic because of the shortage. And so I didn't want to be waiting to find some and then have to put it in. And I was just surprised after I opened up the pattern that it didn't say it had elastic. So I was really excited about that. The other thing that I really liked about it is that I think for the first time I actually put in pockets. I am not someone who likes to carry around stuff in their pockets, especially when it's more of a circular pocket, because I feel like every time I put something in there, I bend down or I sit down and it just all falls out. So for me, if I were to do this over again, I would put on some square pockets instead and just drop in my items. Now, I don't know if this will make the dress look visually different, but I'm just saying this time I actually did both pockets on both sides. Sometimes I just do one pocket. Other times I just leave the pockets out because I think it's just a step that takes too long. And when you're a new sewist, I think honestly you just want to get to your end result because you just want to prove to yourself that you did it. And because for me there's so much anxiety that comes with not knowing whether it's going to work out, or how many times I have to fit it, so that I have to change the bodice or take it apart, or did I find an issue with where I sewed it, or it got caught in the machine and I didn't see that. And so for me, I just want to start and finish my project just really quickly so I can move on to the next one. I just feel like I just want to keep learning and learning. Also, as I said in the first part of the video, I have twin 3-year-olds. So for me, my time in the sewing room is really precious. And so I only want to work on items I can just do really quickly and just move on and just hang them in my closet and say, yes, I made this, and feel like I'm starting to build a wardrobe. So those are the couple things that that I did like and I did add or keep, was the pockets. Now let's talk about this material that this was a great find. So I love Goodwill because I feel like I do everything DIY. I have for years, and I've actually posted other videos on how to do a lot of things like painting or repurposing of furniture or making little gifts or scrapbooking. So this material actually, I walked into Goodwill one day when I was on my way to somewhere and I was running late, and I thought, you know, I need something different to wear because I didn't like what I was wearing. And I ran in and I thought, you know, I'll just look back in the section where they have crafts to see what I could find. And on a bolt, untouched, for $3, I think it was 6 yards of this white gauze, and I thought this was a great find. Now, I'll tell you that my sewing instructor has been saying for so long that she wants me to buy some of this material and just basically do like a mock-up dress. And I kept telling her that, you know, that's not something I want to do. I watch these videos and I don't understand how to be able to make the dress out of like a thin gauze or even just a very light material, and then take it apart and then put it on the actual material that I want to use. So when I found this, I instantly thought of her, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm finally going to do this. I'm finally going to make a muslin. And what I realized is that after I made this, that it was so beautiful that I decided that I could wear this over a swimsuit this summer, or I can just wear this around the house, because obviously this white gauze is really see-through. I don't think I intended on wearing it. I think I just kind of intended on making it, because this required, I think it was like 4 1/8 yards, which, you know, I have a lot of stuff in my stash, but most people don't have 5 yards of one material in their stash that they can use for something just right off the bat. A lot of times, for myself, and I know for some of the other girls on YouTube, buying 3 yards of something will definitely get you a dress and a top, or a top and a pair of shorts or something like that. So 5 yards is a lot. So I was just happy that I had this in 6 yards, and it worked great. And I also got to be able to learn how to be able to keep the pattern the way that I wanted it. And that was something that I had recently learned as well. So I really enjoyed getting that benefit out of it. Let's see, what else can I say about this dress? You'll see in the photos that I really enjoy it, that it really looks great on my body, and I think that's it. I think I really enjoy doing this one. I will put some photos up so you can see the photos that I took with this dress on. And I'm thinking that I would like to remake this dress, because obviously, like I said, this is my muslin, into another color of linen. I did see that on Mimi G and also Brittany J. Jones. They had gone to Joann's recently and found some beautiful color of gauze. And I did see that when I was at Joann's last week. But the line was so long, I just couldn't stand in line for that hour or two to get another cut of a beautiful lightweight gauze in a blush or a blue. So I'm thinking that I would like to do a different type of material. And I found this one. This has a lot of color on it. And so this is not something I would normally buy. But I don't know if you can see these colors, but it is a lot of different colors. So I think this would look great in the caftan. I'll have to see after I cut it out how it's going to work. So if that works out, then of course I will post a video about how this worked. If not, then hopefully I'll find maybe the blush gauze back at Joann's when I go there next time. So please like or subscribe to my channel. This is, like I said, one of my first videos for doing a pattern review, and I might do a few more. If you have any questions about the material or any of the other things that I have mentioned on here, or how to get started, or some of the other things that I mentioned about like putting pockets in or not putting pockets in, or anything like that, please feel free to contact me. Thanks.